Have you ever made one mistake and immediately felt like giving up? Maybe you ate something you promised yourself you wouldn't eat. Maybe sugar cravings return. Maybe your blood sugar increased after a meal. Maybe you stopped following your low carb, healthy diet or missed several workouts or regained some of the weight you had already lost. And suddenly, one difficult moment started sounding like this: I ruined everything. I knew I couldn't do it. I might as well give up. But what if those setbacks didn't mean that you failed? What if you don't have to throw away your entire health journey? Today, we're talking about how to restart a healthy lifestyle after a setback, how to keep moving forward when blood sugar, insulin resistance, or sugar cravings make lifestyle change difficult, and what forgetting to record one of my biggest podcast interviews taught me about humility, resilience, and refusing to give up. Stay with me. If you're tired of sugar cravings, brain fog, fatigue, and all the conflicting health and diet advice, and you just want to know what's happening inside of your body, you're in the right place. I'm TaShawn Davis, holistic health coach, registered nurse, and metabolic health educator. I help you break sugar cravings through balanced blood sugar so you can take your health back naturally. So grab your favorite sugar-free drink, pop in those earbuds, and let's learn how to work with our body and not against it. Hey, before we get started, don't forget that I record these podcasts every Monday and Thursday. And if this conversation reminds you of someone who has been struggling to restart their health journey, please share it with them. Sometimes people don't need another person telling them what they did wrong. Sometimes they just need to be reminded that they can still make a right next step. Also, y'all, we are thickening it. The last metabolic intensive tour is going to be August 15th, the very last time to sign up for the metabolic intensive starting August 15th. So make sure you visit healthbeyondweightloss.com to get further information. So I want to tell you about what happened to me recently. I had the opportunity to interview Dr. Mary Newport. Dr. Newport is a physician, author, and international speaker whose work involving ketones, nutrition, and brain health has had a profound influence on many people, including me. For years, I talked about the physician who used coconut oil and ketones to help her husband, who was living with early onset Alzheimer's disease. Her work helped me better understand some of the connection among metabolic nutrition, metabolic health, and brain function. Eventually, I learned her name because I would just refer to her as the doctor. So I eventually learned her name. I found her and I got the interview. Oh my gosh. I prepared for the conversation. I read her biography. I organized my questions. I was excited, y'all, and absolutely honored to be able to interview her. So we got on the call and the conversation happened. It was powerful. She was dropping nuggets everywhere. And when it was over, y'all, I realized I forgot to press record. The entire interview was gone, just like that. There was no audio for me to edit. There was no recording for me to publish. There was no way for me to recover the conversation we had just completed. I was deeply disappointed. But disappointment wasn't the only emotion I experienced. I was embarrassed, to be honest, because I had invited this respected physician and author onto my podcast. She had given me her time, shared her knowledge, and entrusted me with her story. Now I had to tell her the mistake that I made. I had two choices. I could allow embarrassment and pride to keep me from reaching back out, or I could humble myself, accept responsibility, tell her the truth, and ask whether she would be willing to try again. I didn't have to give up on what I wanted. I had to humble myself and reach back out. So that's what I did. And now we have an agreed upon time in about a month from now. You know, the mistake was real. The disappointment was real. But the mistake did not have to become the end of the story. So what this taught me about health. As I thought about what happened, I realized how closely it resembles what many people experience while trying to improve their health. We begin with sincere intentions. We decide we're going to reduce sugar. We decide we're going to start eating differently. We buy the groceries, clean out the pantry. We start monitoring our blood sugar. We commit to walking, fasting and preparing more meals at home. Then something happens. We had a stressful day. We attend a celebration. We eat an unplanned meal. We experience intense sugar cravings. Our blood sugar is higher than expected. We miss a workout. We stop following the plan for a few days. And instead of viewing it as one event, we turn it into an identity. We don't say, I ate something that wasn't part of the plan. We say, I have no discipline. We don't say, my blood sugar was elevated after that meal. We instead say, I never can get this under control. Instead of saying, I experienced a setback, we say, I failed. But a setback is an event. It is not your identity. One decision versus a pattern. One unplanned meal is not the same thing as permanently abandoning your health. An elevated blood sugar reading does not provide the complete story of your metabolic health. And a missed workout doesn't erase every time you choose to move your body. One mistake does not cancel every healthy decision you made before it. At the same time, we don't want to use grace as an excuse to ignore a pattern. There is a difference between saying, I made one decision that did not support my goal and I'm correcting it, and saying, it doesn't matter what I do. It does matter. Your health does matter, and your choices absolutely matter. But shame usually does not create a sustainable change. Understanding gives us the opportunity to learn. Responsibility gives us the opportunity to act. And grace gives us the strength to continue it. Why does restarting have to feel so difficult? If you're dealing with insulin resistance or intense sugar craving, restarting may not be a simple matter of just trying harder. Your food environment matters. Habits matter, stress matter, and your sleep matters. Your emotional associations with food matter. And the physical discomfort you experience when changing familiar eating patterns, they can matter. That doesn't mean that change is impossible. It means you may need understanding, preparation, support, and a realistic plan, not condemnation. When you understand what might be happening in your body, you can begin to ask better questions. You notice which foods intensify your cravings. You can recognize the situation in which you are most likely to abandon your plan. And instead of saying, oh, I need more willpower, you begin creating an environment that better supports the decisions you need to make. So this acronym I thought of, let's talk about it. 5 steps you can use after you have a setback. This acronym is called the reset. So the first thing you have to do is R, recognize what happened. Tell yourself without exaggerating it. I ate an unplanned meal. I stopped preparing my food. I have not exercised this week. My cravings have returned. Be honest. Do not add, I'm a failure. The event is information. It is not your identity. E, examine the situation. X, what was happening before I made that decision? Was I physically hungry? Was I stressed, tired, lonely, rushed, or unprepared? Did I go too long without eating and then reach for the fastest available food? Was I surrounded by foods that are often difficult for me to moderate? Did I have a plan for the event or situation? It's not about making excuses. It's about identifying what needs to change before you face the same situation again. Let's prepare. Let's be on the offensive instead of being on the defensive all the time. S, simplify your next step. You don't have to correct everything in one day. Your next step might be preparing your next meal at home, choosing protein and non-starchy vegetables for your next meal, removing a food that repeatedly triggers cravings, drinking more water, take a walk if it's safe and appropriate for you, returning to your prescribed meds as directed if you miss them, and just scheduling an appointment with your healthcare professional if your blood sugar symptoms or sugar readings are concerning to you. The goal is not to punish yourself, it's to make the next appropriate step. E, extend grace without abandoning your responsibility. Grace does not mean pretending the decision did not matter. Grace means refusing to use the decision as a weapon against yourself. You can acknowledge that something needs to be changed without speaking to yourself as though you are beyond hope. Ask yourself, would I speak to someone I love in the way that I'm speaking to myself right now? If the answer is no, change the conversation. T, trust the process and continue. This is the part where you begin again. Not next Monday, not next month, not after one final weekend of eating everything you plan to eliminate. Begin with the next decision available to you. You cannot change the meal you ate yesterday, but you can influence what happens next. Do not turn a setback into a punishment. After an unplanned meal or elevated blood sugar reading, some people respond by trying to punish themselves. They may decide they are not going to eat for an extreme length of time. They may attempt excessive exercise. They may make abrupt changes to their medications without speaking to their healthcare professional. This is not what I am recommending. Your response should be thoughtful, safe, and appropriate for your health history. No single blood sugar reading or laboratory result should be completely interpreted by itself. If you take a blood sugar medication or you're on insulin or have a history of hypoglycemia or experience readings or symptoms that concern you, just talk to your healthcare provider. The goal is not to panic. The goal is understanding and making these informed healthcare decisions. This experience also reminded me of the role humility plays in growth. Pride could have told me, don't tell Dr. Newport. Don't admit what happened. Just pretend the interview never occurred. But humility said, tell the truth. Take responsibility. Ask for another opportunity. Sometimes the next step in our health journey also requires humility. We may need to admit that our current approach is not working. We may need to ask for help. We may need to learn something we thought we already understood. We may need to return to a plan that we already abandoned. Proverbs tells us that although a righteous person may fall, they rise again. The important part is not pretending that we never fall. The important part is rising again. God did not create you without purpose. Your health matters because your life, your family, your calling, and your future matter. Stewardship is not perfection. It is the willingness to keep going, keep growing, and keep responding to what God is showing you. So here's a word if you feel ashamed. If you have been avoiding your physician because you are embarrassed about your blood sugar, look, make that appointment. If you stop checking your glucose because you were afraid with what you might see, hey, speak to your healthcare provider about a better monitoring plan. Why not try a continuous glucose monitor? And if you're having an issue getting it, check out my website, Health Beyond Weight Loss. I have a way for anyone to get continuous glucose monitor. Listen, if you've regained weight, that does not erase what you previously learned. If sugar cravings return, begin examining what changed. If you stop following the plan completely, choose one appropriate action you can take today. You do not have to solve your entire future right now. You only need to stop allowing one chapter to write the ending. So let's bring it all together. This interview happened, but I forgot to record it. I could never recover that recording. What I could do was tell the truth, accept responsibility, ask for another opportunity, and continue. Your health journey may require the same thing. Recognize what happened, examine the circumstances, simplify the next step, extend grace without abandoning the responsibility, trust the process, and continue. One step back does not have to erase and cancel the whole mission. Thank you for listening in. If this episode has helped you, follow the Health Beyond Weight Loss podcast so you do not miss an episode. And please, y'all, if you could leave a 5-star review, it helps more people see this interview. So you're not a failure. You could have experienced a setback. All right, get back up. And you can still take the next right step. And if you want more support on our Health Beyond Weight Loss, we have a Learn section, and it breaks down these concepts in writing so that you can have something to look at. And the next episode, we're going to continue on with, I spoke at an assisted living home today, and you'll hear some of the takeaways from that. And don't forget, join me with the 6-week metabolic intensive, because this is where we will walk with you all the way through it, and you will never go back to your same diet again or same unhealthy habits again after coming through this program with us for 6 weeks. Remember, you are needed in this hour. Your setback is an event, not your identity. You may not need to start your entire life over. You may simply need to take the next right step. God bless you. Alrighty, my friend. If this episode has helped you understand your body a little bit better and helped you have the confidence to make better informed healthcare decisions, share it with someone you know who may be struggling with sugar cravings, brain fog, or fatigue, because they may not even realize that blood sugar could be the reason. And also leave a review, because it really helps more people find this. Remember, the goal is to reverse 1 million type 2 diabetes in my lifetime. And as always, I want to remind you the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. And some people are fighting every day just to have the health and energy to live their everyday life that they were called to live. So I am praying for your health. I am praying for your strength, and I'll see you on the next episode.